I'm in the chair. Right.
Hey, we're here. We're live. Dishes are done. I'm Dan Kim. He's John Halsey White III Jr. And it's been a while, I think, since episode 10 was our last one. So we're into the double digits now.
Yes. Well, 10 technically would have gotten us into double digits, but yes,
Right.
because that has a tens place. Actually, I see a lot of the kids' homework
Correct.
nowadays, and I argue with almost every single thing they bring home because there's always some Paul Hamas nonsense mixed in where there's two ways to solve something, or like what they've asked for is like the same thing as mapping a black hole. You're like, I don't know. I don't know exactly how you expect a third
How are
grader to do
we,
this,
how are we
because
applying
you're opening
this?
up Pandora's box. But one of the things that they had was like ones and tens, and they were using these like units of ones and tens, and like there was like one, like how to break a number down. So if it was like 87, you'd have eight tens and seven ones. But you could also have 87 ones. And so, the
Oh,
kids wrote
that.
like 87 ones. And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, that's correct too. It's like, so that was one of the things when you get to digits, right? I'm like, okay, so that's only 110. There's no ones, but
I,
technically
I,
do
I
that.
did my best. I did my best to
It's late.
follow along. Well, it was also math and no, but the same thing happens. Like I'm like, are we like evolving math before my very eyes? Because I've never learned how to do that, and that's simple addition that Hannah's doing in kindergarten. And there's some weird like new shortcut that I'm like, when is it just not gonna be like like you're always just going to be able to cheat on a math test as long as you can learn how to get to it with assistance. You don't really need to know.
It's not really cheating. That's just knowing math and then taking
Right.
the test.
Right.
but
Yeah.
I don't know. With the new math stuff, I feel like all they're doing is turning it sideways. It's like rearranging a room. Like it's still the same room, it's still the same furniture, but you've rearranged everything. And you're like, look at this new room. Look at this new way of doing stuff. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like I mean, this is a bad example. So, but maybe this is a better one. Like it all of a sudden, um, I went to church and I just gotta check out our experimental AI features
Oh yeah, I think they added
recommendation.
something, but let's not do that right now.
No thanks, guys.
We'll check
I'll leave that up to my co-star here.
it.
But like at church, all of a sudden they kind of like were changing the, whatever. I don't even remember what they're
Oh,
called.
like when they redid all the prayers and everything
The
like that.
stuff that you would say
Yeah,
out loud. Yeah, there was like
that was
slight alterations.
that was rough.
I'm
And
like, are we
and
bored?
no, well, what happened there was I guess the translations across all the languages was wrong. So it was
Mm.
like we were saying stuff in English, and that's not what the prayer was and stuff. So they
Ah,
they just went ahead and corrected the glitch and just let it work it out naturally. But
fix
the
the
but
glitch.
but the thing is like once you've ingrained it in our heads, for especially when you're younger, I mean,
It's stapled in there.
I always like to point out the guy who like said it a little louder, like said the correction just like a little bit louder than like everyone else because you knew everyone else was like sort of still learning and
Struggling.
stumbling through it. But there's that one guy who just studied like all night and he just belts it out like louder than everybody.
That was Terry.
Consubstantial, consubstantial.
That
Just
was Terry Fitzgibbons, but he wasn't like the asshole about it. He
no.
was
He would
just like,
he
I'm
would
right. Sorry.
yeah. He wouldn't do it to us. He would lift us up
Yeah.
to get up to
Yeah,
it.
he was
It
almost
was more
like,
to
no,
fight the
guys.
teachers.
Yeah, right. She's setting you up here. Don't fall for it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a trap.
Um,
It's a trap.
God, ever since we didn't do our last show, I've been doing really good writing down just things that are popping in my head
Yeah.
to like maybe talk about. But of course, it's sitting on my desk at work.
That's a good spot.
About 9 miles away.
Yeah, I
But they're evergreen, so it doesn't matter.
it's all good. We'll get to
Just
it. We've got the
yeah,
rest of
right.
our lives.
Exactly.
I'm not in any rush.
I'm just glad that I at least wrote it down.
I did look up some advice columns for us as far as parenting advice, so we can always
Good.
fall back on that as well.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I was gonna say I kind of wanted to just go into those. Those were pretty fun, unless you have other stuff because
I
it
just
has
want
been a
I just
while.
wanted to touch real quick on one. Well, I saw Ghostbusters, and I mean, like I've been negative for like a lot of things, but I did not. I did not like Ghostbusters like at all. Like I didn't find it like fun. It was like a little bit. It was a little bit fun at times. I feel like Bill Murray
Yeah,
kind of made some
I didn't
funny.
even get to him. Like I had to leave
Did you,
and I didn't get to finish it,
oh, that's right.
and
Yeah,
he wasn't even. Oh no, he was there, but it wasn't like
he
they
didn't do
hadn't like.
anything in the beginning. He was just like,
It was
"Hi,
all Dan
I'm
Aykroyd.
in a seat." Yeah,
It was literally just the Dan Aykroyd show
it was just later
in the
on he
beginning.
made like a couple of good one-liners, and that was like about it. But here's my thing, right? When you do member berries, like you can do them well, right? Like if you look at the Spider-Man No Way
Hmm.
Home movie,
Hmm.
there's really that movie is just marshmallow. Like it's
Yeah,
just pure sugar. Like
yeah,
there
they
is
just cut right to
no
it.
because I realized I really enjoyed it, and I was like, oh, like maybe I'll play this for my parents, and like we were trying to pick a movie, and I'm like, oh, let's watch Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like awesome, it's fun, it has references to the old
It's hard
Spider-Man,
hard to find a group that wouldn't enjoy it.
but they don't
In your head.
know like the
Oh,
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, so there's no payoff for him being there. Like, who's this now? This is just like
yeah.
another
Who's
Spider.
the youth pastor?
And so the questions just start coming in, and I'm like, yeah, this is really just not enjoyable unless you've like put in the time. It's like watching a finale and not knowing and not like seeing any of the season. You're like, I don't care who died, who was that?
That's what was so annoying to me. Like when I was like, when you saw the spark when they did the handshake, and I was like, oh, that's how they're gonna do it. I was like, God, that's like the first. That's like no, that's like an idea that they had to come up with after they had maybe a cool idea
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it was just too easy. It's just like you're right. It's like a cameo for the sake of a cameo. It didn't really like you didn't. It didn't like lead to that. It was like within the movie, it led to that in
it
like
was just that,
17 minutes.
right?
It
And
was like they
technically, rewatching Doctor Strange too. I mean, like when they explain the sling ring, that thing is like insanely powerful. Like the way they describe it, they're like, it'll take you anywhere in the world, anywhere in the multiverse. You also see in like Endgame, they bring them back from whatever what's his name's planet was. Um,
Titan.
yeah, Titan, right? So that was no big deal. Like, oh, need to get home from Titan. Whoosh, like, I don't know why they didn't just say, hey, everybody who's here, I'm just going to put a sling ring in your pocket because you saw like they had cases of them, right? Like it's not like when they hand them out at the rectory or whatever their temple thing is, right? Like they just had like they were just handing out like
Camartage.
they were handing out like boxes of them, right?
The
They're like
Sanctum
everybody grab one,
Sanctorum.
right? So everybody
Yeah, it
has
was
one.
like new toothbrushes.
It's like, hey, if you ever get stranded on a planet, maybe you can do some magic, right? Like if you just like
Yeah,
really
we don't
believe.
know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Spider-Man's worthless friend apparently just is more magical than anybody
Accidentally,
without even
like he just
trying.
like went like this, but like Doctor Strange is supposed to be the best sorcerer
Right.
supreme
Right.
in all eternity and
And
in
he
14 million
barely
possibilities. He's supposed to be the one, and if he gave up the time stone, like that's a
and to
major
save
thing. And now
his
you've just
life, he could barely do it. Remember, he was like on
yeah,
Everest,
he was on Everest and he just like fell through, and he's like like because his
barely.
life was on the line. But Ned just like
I
he,
did
he
it
like
after a handshake.
sneezed. Yeah, he sneezed, and for some reason that caused it to already sort of work. And technically, like I said, they could have just brought the Spider-Man in without any spell then as well, because that is supposed to be able to step through the multiverse too. That's what they said in the Doctor Strange movie. So
Well,
technically,
yeah,
they
that
could have just,
no, I mean that's what happened in Spider-Man. Oh no, yeah, he was already there. But it was weird.
or were they?
Yeah, I know because it was like
Mm-mm.
he was
No,
somewhere
but no,
else.
but no, but they mentioned
He
like all of a
says I
sudden I
wasn't
was
in my
here,
universe.
and then they
Yeah,
said
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw. I think they even saw Spider Man. They're like, oh wait, and then that's not me.
He's like, I saw your friend is in trouble. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not
So
your friend. He's not your friend. That's what Toby says. But he's not your friend. He's not the Spider-Man.
right.
Anyway,
Anyway, but that getting back to Ghostbusters, there was just too many scenes like where it's like, hey, like remember
the
that,
music,
yeah,
the
the
music,
music,
dude.
yeah,
The like everything's
yeah,
fine now.
yeah.
But then, I mean,
Bam, bam,
there
bam,
were
bam,
parts.
bam, bam,
That's it.
bam. That's what it is. Bam, bam, bam,
It's
bam,
so
bam,
good. It
bam.
reminds me of like Jaws. It's like weird, like I don't know, but they
It
overused
is a
it.
perfect theme. Yeah, it is
They
a.
overused it so much.
But yeah, and then they saw like the librarian, they saw Slimer, they saw like all these things, and I'm like, I don't understand what like Ray coming across the same ghost that he saw in the first one in the library. I'm what like the whole point was that like seeing a ghost was like an impossible thing. Like the whole first movie is like nobody believes us. It's
Right.
really
That's
impossible to
why it was
find
so
one.
good.
And
That's
then
why it was
all of a
neat.
sudden there's like a lot of ghost activity because Zool is coming, right? So it's like that's why there were so many ghosts in New York, right? Like they just were on the case a bit early while they were trying to get their masters for like a PhD program or something. They were trying to get sponsored so they could do research, right? And that's how they
Right.
all got together, and that's how like everything happened. But
Oh
it was
yeah.
all
It's so funny.
haphazard.
I haven't watched the first one in so long. There's probably so much that went way over my head when I
Oh
watched it
yeah,
as a
no, your
kid
adult mind, you
because it is
realize,
pretty adult.
yeah. I mean, they're PhD students. They're just like
They're
grown up
nerds.
college kids trying to get
They're Big Bang Theory.
a thing that they could research, right? That was it. And it was like Egon, and then they're kind of on Egon's coattails, and Venkman
Right.
obviously just like joked his way through
Right.
like half the stuff, right? So,
Right. It was a big shoot or a big work
but then they like
with
did that
Bankman.
again. They tried to do like the interview thing again. I'm like, why on earth would he still do that? It doesn't even make
I'm a
sense.
sucker for the nostalgia member berries. I really am. But when you can't like string them together, it's just like I'll never watch this again. I'm enjoying these moments
Yeah,
as you kind of like plop me into them, but like it's all like sensationalized trickery. That I'm just like, this is all attached to good things, and I just like can't help but smile. But like I'm not gonna go back and watch it. There's no like storytelling that's clever or
no.
like that like sucked me in at all.
There was no flow to it at all. I mean, it was
Yeah,
really Paul
clunky.
Rudd
Right.
trying to like say the theme. Like he was basically trying to scream the theme out. He's like, "Hey, we're trying to be a family." Like every scene he's in, he's like, "Oh, well, I wish I was part of this family." And then he's like, "Hey, let's have a talk cuz we're sort of a family." And it's like, "Oh, like
It was
I'm
so
like, is that
like
what this whole thing is about?
I,
That they're just trying to
I
be a family?" Like I don't
it's like I know they're making another movie. It's like, yo, maybe this would have just been like a cool show. Cuz there's so
yeah.
many different like little arcs that are happening that are like, okay, you could like string that through 8 episodes, that is like a I don't know C plot thread,
Sure.
with Rudd trying to be the cool stepdad, but like he's sometimes putting his foot down. Like I kind of was like, oh, this is interesting. Rudd has to be like a dick, and he's not.
Well,
I don't know. It was just new. It felt new. It felt like almost a different movie.
I thought they had like a good premise where the girl could have been possessed, right? And then you get kind of like into
Oh
like the
yeah.
problem in the first one where he didn't want to shoot because it was like Dana, it was Dana, right? Like as the dog or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Right? So with with this, like when she got possessed, I was like, oh, like maybe that's gonna be like the thing. Like he's got to keep this family together, but now he's also got to like stop this evil, freeze monster and stop them there. But I don't know. It just was too.
Yeah.
It was too
Yeah, it
like
just felt like a
Saved by the
lot.
Bell new class, and it was just too. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. I think you could have done more with like Dan Aykroyd and like the podcast kid. I feel like it could have been funnier for him to just be like
Oh yeah.
like a podcast host that's just talking about these things, but not actually like putting on the Ghostbuster suit to go figure it out. Like just somebody that they come into to do some research and figure things out. Like I feel like they should reference them, but I don't feel like the main cast should have been there really because it really just didn't make any sense. Even especially Janine, like she's like the last person that makes any sense for being there. She was the secretary. She got like a little active in the second one. I think she was more active in the cartoon, I guess. But her being there is like, why would you? Why? Because you've now rejuvenated Ghostbusters. Would Janine just show back up? Like she had to have had her own life, whether she like married Rick Moranis or whatever happened in her life. Like seeing her back,
You're right.
I'm like, she's like, oh, sweet, are we starting up again? I really want to be a receptionist,
I
and it
feel
just
like she was kind of like the Pam in The Office. Like, even though she was like the highest person on the totem pole, like she was the
right,
lowest
right, right,
paid, she did have access to like everything that mattered. Like
yeah,
she had the keys basically. So it's like, oh, she has to show up because they
yeah.
can't get in without her.
I
One of
could,
those little
I mean, I like her. I like the actress. I like the
excuses. Yeah.
character and
Yeah. It was
everything.
like
So I'm not.
Janine.
I don't think you
Janine
need too much of
Nelmis.
an excuse for her to be there. It just seemed odd that all of a sudden she's like there and she's just like the secretary again. Seems like she could have like had a career and been like something else and been just coming back to be like, hey, can I help? I think that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe give her a nuance or two. Like she did go on after Ghostbusters. She
Just like
just
a few
happened to
sentences.
have the
Yeah.
keys.
Right. Yeah.
I think if we have one of those like unnecessary crowbarred in cameos, we refer to it as a Ned sling ring.
Ned sling ring. Yes, that's what it is. It's a Ned sling ring.
This is Ned from the second one when they went to Europe and he got the
oh,
hat,
that's right. Yeah, you got
got
to
the
take
hat,
some. Yeah.
and he
Um,
dated Betty.
yeah. The only other thing that I wanted to mention in the movie too was when they said the building was special, and that
Oh
just
yeah,
didn't make any sense because the building wasn't special. The building, in fact, the building was like it was just Ray saying like, "We'll take it. Like this is so much fun. There's a
oh,
pole." And they
it
cut the
remind.
pole in the movie, and then everybody slides down the poles just fine. I think there's two poles, but they keep sliding down them, even though they hacksawed it like halfway down to get the brass from it, and that just really bothered me. It was just it was more like the structure and the flow and the consistency, the continuity was just like broken.
They made the firehouse like the Lost Island.
Yeah, they did.
This is the epicenter of life itself.
Right.
If this house goes down, light everywhere goes out.
Right. Which, yeah, that would be like going back to like a Ninja Turtles and being like, this room in the sewers is the most important place. This is like where all mutant kind will come through a portal. It's like, no, that was
It
just like a
almost
room
was
they
like
found.
the John Wick spin off, the Continental. I was like, well, unless the Continental is basically like the island of that world, what else is it? What else is going to be cool about it?
Like, what else does it do?
What
I
else can you
still
do?
don't. I mean, like the whole John Wick world. The only reason that it works is because nobody had a second sentence explaining anything. Right. The only reason it worked is because they would like walk in and be like, "I need a room," and the person would be like, "You don't have like a token," and then he'd be like, "Here's my token," and he'd be like, "Okay, you remember the rules," and like that would be it, right? Like they wouldn't really go
It
into
was
it any
just
further. It's
it
like,
was so disappointing because it was seemed like there was this cool like world underneath like the whole assassin thing, and it was like they botched the
well,
execution.
they did it. They did it like up to like I think the third one, or maybe the second one. And then the third one, I can't remember which happens in each one. I think it was the third one. The third one
Third
just
one was when
goes,
Morpheus joins him, and I was like, "What?"
Okay, so maybe it was after the third one. I think the third one was really the end, and then
Yeah,
the fourth one starts and just undoes everything in the third one.
I
Like
know.
because in the one movie he has to like walk in the desert until he's almost dead until he finds this guy, and then the guy's like untouchable and he has to like you know sacrifice part of himself and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And then the very next movie he's like, I'm mad, and then he just goes to the desert, finds the guy in like 3 seconds and shoots him right in the head. And I'm like, sorry, that's a spoiler, but it was like stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like you've made it like this huge tower to cross in the third one, and then the fourth one, you're like, nah, it wasn't. It just he got off at the wrong train stop.
To me, the story of the John Wick saga, which is what they're going to call it, is his girl got killed, his dog got killed. He smashed up all the cement, and then over the course of 4 movies, you see some never before seen action.
Yeah,
Like you'll see shots that you've never seen in a movie before uh, throughout that whole thing, and that's pretty much all I really remember. And
yeah. I mean,
that's enough for a first timer.
the stunt scenes were good. Like the stunt scene, I mean, I enjoyed it. It's just up until
Yeah.
that point where they started breaking their own world. Like you made the rules, you invited me, you made the rules. I stuck around, and then
I've been following your rules.
but it's just like I've said before. It's like watching 24. It's like binge watching 24. Like it makes no sense when you binge watch it because it's like every episode's an hour, right? But then three
But it's really
episodes
43 minutes.
later, they forgot what happened 3 hours ago, right? Like it's like how would you forget what happened 3 hours ago? Like you got dropped out of a plane, like rolled down a
Right.
mountain, you killed 3 terrorists, right? You one of them has an evil brother who's trying to hunt you down now, and like you don't remember it happening. It's like how did you forget that? That was 3 hours ago. You know?
They really had like super powered aircraft in that
Oh
show.
yeah, they're
Because I
like
was
don't
like,
think about it too
the
much.
Earth. Yeah.
There's like they should just have one episode that's like the Costanza
They're
episode where
like,
he just doesn't do anything. He's just on a plane like this.
we know the Earth spins that way. We know.
Like we
Pretend.
get
This
it.
is pretend.
Let's
This
just
is
say
pretend.
he's got a really fast
Make
transportation method. Like
believe. Speaking of make believe, I got to tell you, I watched. So I can't remember if I talked about this, but in like January-ish, I got like a notification on my phone one Saturday night, and it was like the Royal Rumble is live on Peacock streaming now, and I was like, for free? And I like clicked it, and all of a sudden the Rumble, like one of the early matches before like the actual Rumble's going
oh
on. And I
yeah,
was like, oh, all right, well, I'll just see how long it'll go. And I ended up watching the entire thing. Midway through, Hannah comes, wakes up in the middle of the night because it's like 11 o'clock. The men's rumble is like midway. And she wakes up in the middle of the night. She comes down, and it's Saturday, and it's the Rumble. And I'm like, all right, you got to lay here and watch this with me because I'm kind of curious who's going to do this because I recognize most of the guys that are in there.
yeah,
I haven't watched in 15 years. I like just
right.
didn't care anymore. I don't know why. It was weird. And I love John Cena, but it was like right when he became huge, I was like, all right, I've seen this.
Yeah,
It's Hulk Hogan. He just looks different. And so this kid who wins, Cody Rhodes, he's the son of legend Dusty Rhodes. Gold Dust is his brother.
okay,
He wins, and it's his 10th Rumble, and it's his third Royal Rumble win.
yeah.
Only one other guy has won it 3 times, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I'm like, oh, geez, they're like pushing the crap out of him. And I think like a year ago, he fought in WrestleMania 39 and lost, and it was like a heartbreaker because the good guy usually wins at WrestleMania.
Right, right.
It's rare. And so I got sucked in, and WrestleMania is this past weekend in Philly, and it's like a 2-day. Let's see how much we can test this live audience to last to the very end and cheer for this kid who finally wins. And it was, I mean, I was watching it and I was like recording myself, trying to like catch my reactions,
Yeah.
because they pulled like an Avengers Endgame where like there was no disqualification. So like the champ, his like cousin comes down and Cody kicks out, and then John Cena comes out and saves them, but then The Rock comes out and throws out John Cena, and then The Undertaker comes out and choke slams The Rock, and then
Yeah.
this kid Cody does his move and he pins him 1, 2, 3, and I was, because this guy's been champ for like 4 years, like he's
Yeah.
like, I think like 3 other people have had longer runs than him, and I got like sucked in, but it's so different, the presentation, from what like me, you, and DeWitt used to watch, like the pay-per-views, like
Right.
the special things that they would do. And it's so, I think to me, Agnew, the biggest like reason why I'm like watching it, like Saturday, I hooked up a TV outside, downloaded Peacock on another Fire Stick,
Yeah.
and got WrestleMania just playing on in the background. Because I was like, it's a 2-day event. And it's in Philly. I mean, that was a huge
Yeah.
part of it. So I wanted to see, and I was like, I'm just amazed that even though I like lost interest in this thing, that there are still these like kids who watched Cody Rhodes when he first started, and they were 10.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And now they're 20, crying over this guy winning. And
Yeah.
I'm like getting choked up myself, because
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I remember standing in DeWitt's apartment watching Rock and Hogan. Like, I can't believe what we're
Yeah.
seeing.
The new and the old, like together, like.
It was just neat. And it's like, I was so happy for like a group of people that like I'm not as passionate as anymore, but like I was at one time. So I still kind of like enjoy seeing them still be passionate about
Sure.
this
Yeah.
weird American Canadian kind of play thing that we do. It's so strange.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty. I think South Park kind of knocked it out of the park when they broke down wrestling into like Shakespearean plays, where they were like, like everybody would come to it and there would be like intermission, and they like like there would be like violins and like the lights would go down, and then like then the wrestlers would start coming out and everybody would be like there like with binoculars and like
Oh,
sipping
no.
tea. Yeah, yeah. They made
Oh,
it
is that
just
like how it started?
they made it like
They were like sideshows.
they made it like Shakespeare, right? Like so South Park was kind of making fun of it, that like this was just the new play. It's just like going to see a live play. It's just you're seeing it, and there's lots of acrobatics mixed in. But there's like a villain, there's a good guy, there's people that you've been dedicated to. There's really no difference.
It's like also like a circus. There's like fireworks and like flames and tricks, acrobatics. Like you said, it's like they're in the circus.
There was like the small time in like the
Brian
90s
Grayson's.
and 2000s where people would be like, well, it's fake, right? And it's like
my whole life.
But that whole thing is like gone. Like nobody's walking around going like, hey, wrestling is fake, right? It's like, well, what part of it's fake? The part where the guy went flying through the air, because he really did do that, right? Like the injuries are very much real. Like their scars are real.
Yeah, like the part
the fact that they don't hate each other is maybe the other part. But you watch lots of shows where the people who are in the show are not really hating or shooting each other, right? So what part of this are you expecting to be absolutely real? It doesn't make any sense. And I think
it would like make people really upset if it was real.
Yeah,
people are smashing their skulls
we
into
should probably
like metal
stop
steps.
It. Yeah, it's like the Coliseum.
It's extremely illegal.
Yeah, McMahon's out there like, like just they're chopping the Rock's head off after it's over. You're like, oh god.
They hung the Big Boss Man at WrestleMania, and then, WrestleMania, and then he was on Raw the next night. They hung him from the steel cage, hung him from his neck with a rope in the middle of the ring. Totally fine the next night.
Those little like alleyway
Post
ones
May
are so
15th.
funny too. Like where they would like go around through like the little, like where it would be somebody pulling in, and then those were just so.
Backstage.
Those backstage ones were just so awkward. There were always like those like pauses where like the person had to get in frame, where they're like, "Yeah, so we're good. We'll just hang out back here."
Yeah, I know.
And then you'd hear like the woo from the fans or something like that, and then it would be like,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
the
yeah,
other
you'd hear
guy
like a whistle.
would come like walking in, like, "Oh, hey, what are you here?"
Right. I know. Yo, I just happened to be in here with the camera. That's when we were doing CWO, and I was like, oh, it's so easy. You just like pretend the camera guy's not there.
You don't have to do
It almost
Yeah.
becomes like a sitcom.
Yeah, it definitely made it
But-
seem doable because it's like, well, I could do that part. Like, I might not be able to do the. I remember we went the one time with those guys. I forget their names. I think Nick. Yeah, and they were doing they were like,
Steve.
oh yeah, we do backyard wrestling, and we were like, oh yeah, we do too. But our part was never the physical part. Our part was just the comedy, and
No, it was SNL wrestling.
it was
It's
it was more the sketches.
skit.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then the wrestling itself, it's like each character had like one or two signature moves. Then it was just like punches, kicks, and trash talking.
Whatever. If it was mine, it was just whatever moves I do are the moves that they would all do. There wasn't anything else I had in my arsenal, besides just funny phrases to yell out. But when we went over with them, I remember being like really hurt that day, like trying to do like the suplexes and like actual jumps. I'm like, this is not. Like these are mattresses these guys found in like a dumpster somewhere. This is not okay.
I just remember doing like he's like, all right, we're going to like call our spots like mid match, like, as the match is going on. I was like, what are we, Bret Hart? Like that's insane. Somebody's going to break their neck. And he's like off the rope, hit the mat, jump over me, duck, hit the drop kick. And he like said that like in like the fucking carny lingo, like real fast, like up, down, rope, jump back. And I was like, just like I exploded. Take a sip of water.
Oh my gosh. They were like,
I was like, no, I'm more in for the theatrics of all this.
I was like drenched in sweat by the end of that day too. Like that was rough. That was a rough day. And I just remember being like, where am I? Where are we?
I remember the next day, like my ass was like my like quads and my ass,
Your gluteus.
because I guess making me jump like some monkey.
Yeah, I mean, like
Idiots.
like some of it was like flipping around and just like if we didn't have, I don't know how old we were at that point, but if we didn't have like 20-year-old
seniors.
bodies or 18-year-old bodies, like there's no way we would survive. Like if we tried to do one of those moves today, that would be it. It would be like, see you at Christmas. We'd just be like,
Oh, dude, if I sneeze
it would be like
a little too
both
dramatically,
ACLs at the same time.
if I don't like kick up my right heel when I sneeze, my back will go out again.
Yeah.
I had something.
Oh, sorry, bud.
No, it's my fault. I had to do the hamstring. And it was good. It was something about wrestling.
With the wrestling, with the moves that we were doing, and then
McMahon. I can't believe the whole McMahon thing.
WrestleMania.
I don't know if we talked about that. And shit. Oh, well,
Cody
maybe
Rhodes.
Maybe it'll come to me.
All right.
But yeah, like I said, I am more enjoying watching the fans of wrestling today, because I'm just like, how are they even making anybody care? Like I was like, yo, I get it. People love John Cena, but like, it's just so paint by numbers by now that like, I'm just not interested. So I'm like, how are they doing it that like all of a sudden there's this cool, unique soap opera storyline that has been like told over like a year and a half, that like paid off well, and a whole bunch of other young up and comer guys kind of like are like hanging on with it too, and like benefited from like sort of being involved in it. Even this Jake Paul guy, who I wanted to hate more than anyone, is just a natural at it. So he just brings in such a giant new crowd. And the Pat McAfee from ESPN, like now he's like with Michael Cole at ringside. It's pretty crazy, the two acquisitions and the influence that just those two boys from the internet will bring over and have brought over, and they've improved it. They've like easily they bring something that it's this is what I wanted to say. The best thing that they're doing right now, Agnew, is like never before. They are peeling the curtain back, like as far back as they ever have before. They're like, look, like you were saying, we all know this is fake. So like we're almost going to kind of tell you how we got to the point of putting on the show out there that you guys, it's like the crowd is like more a part of it now than they ever have. Because when you go back and watch it, the crowd almost feels responsible to give that huge pop because they like saw the company like trying to get it there. It's pretty crazy. Triple H is pretty innovative.
Triple H is running it now?
He's the chief creative officer. Like McMahon has nothing to do with it. This company, TKO Sports and something else, own it, but Triple H, and it's like it was like, I guess, Iger,
but like Triple H is like giving everybody like their names and like kind of like how McMahon used to do, like where they'd come in and be like, "You are Jimmy Wang," like,
he's the one that decides that Fogel's going to form the squad, and they're going to turn Algio's going to turn on Donahue to regain the world championship. He's the story writer, the creative. And he's married to Steph.
Is that real? Did they really?
They have 3 daughters. Oh. Yeah, they're really married. Yeah.
I don't know where the story really ends and where truth begins.
I know.
Because a lot of that was like
they do try to blur it, which is so lazy.
Yeah. Like, did Shawn Michaels really turn on Triple H? Like, who knows? But I don't know. I always feel like McMahon was a bit psycho about some of that, and I feel like the psychoness kept the audience kind of on their toes because you never knew what characters were coming, or how offensive they were going to be, or what upset you were going to get. But it sounds like, I guess it's still going strong, but maybe they just got a few formulas.
When Vince wrote a story that his wife Linda was paralyzed and comatose, and just like Dr. Leo Marvin at the end of What About Bob, she's kind of like this, and they wheel her out, and then Vince and Trish Stratus come out, and Vince like French like the most disgusting old man, young hot girl. In real life, his wife making out with her just to like be a villain. I'm like, you're insane, man. Yeah. If that's what you're coming up with to be the bad guy, you couldn't come up with anything less fucking horrible for your wife to live through. You're insane. So when all this stuff came out, I was like, I am not surprised at all.
What stuff came out?
I'm not surprised at all. Sex trafficking, dude. Oh. I mean, the most disgusting, text exchanges and like details of Dookie. He is a Dookie.
Okay. Well, I said he was a psycho, so I guess I'm right. No, I'm sorry. I haven't known anything. So,
man, you really do stay off the grid.
I mean, you've got a psycho person who, I mean, he kind of fed on. He's kind of like Cosby in that way, right? Like he kind of fed on the praise, like when he became the king of what he does, right? Like there was nobody else like him, really. Like people were trying to clone it, but whatever he did, and he worked his way up too. So it's not like it was handed to him. with Golden
He has
Reigns, right?
won,
Like he
and
was just like
his
he
dad
was like a reporter on it or something, right? Like didn't he start?
his dad tried to, like, he's like, no, you go and do something else, and he's like, let me do it for a year, and I'll do good. And like one night, a dude got sick or like missed a flight and couldn't announce, and Vince is like, I'll try, or I'll do it, and he like kind of nailed it.
Oh, okay.
Knowing nothing, like kind of like was making it up as he went along, but like didn't say anything wrong.
Yeah.
Like didn't
Yeah.
know any of the holds, but just knew what to say to make it sound cool. And yeah, but yeah, he did. But it's like, it's such an odd world. It's such an odd
Yeah.
time for like humanity.
Yeah.
Like that generation that's all kind of wrapping it up. Most of the great ones are like, but you like had no control over yourself. You were like a teenager the whole way through.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm pretty sure we would have heard the same thing about like Ben Franklin if there was like a Twitter back then.
If
Like he probably,
if we lost,
yeah. Like he would have just
if the British like captured him and hung him and all those guys, like what would have happened?
no, but I mean like he was pretty wild too. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That
you know what I
probably
mean?
would have all come out.
Yeah.
I'm
So
interested to see if they're going to go there with that new Michael Douglas show.
what's
Where
that?
he's playing. It's called, I think it's called Franklin.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like an Apple Plus series. I think 5 episodes, where he plays Ben Franklin, and it's 5 episodes. They got to get into some of the.
I hope
negative
they.
shit.
I just rewatched the John Adams again. I watched that like at least once a year. I love that miniseries.
It's one of my favorite things by most of the guys that are involved. Like of the things they've done.
Yeah.
Even Hanksy behind the scenes, I was like, God, there's a version of it out there that gives you like Cliff's Notes, or not like Cliff's Notes, but like details.
Oh,
that
like the
aren't-
pop-ups, like the VH1 pop-ups, like
sort of, yeah, where
Yeah.
it's like this street is blah blah blah, and this now, and it makes it even better. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like watching a new show.
Yeah, I would definitely need that because if I was watching it with anyone that asked me a question of what exactly is going on in most of the scenes, I'm like, I don't know. But I always think of like the inoculation scene, like where they have the forget it was like I don't think it was measles. It was like
Mumps,
yeah,
Rebellia,
or it was a different pox. It was like smallpox. I think that's what it was.
monkey,
And no, not monkey. Um,
small.
But how they like just stuck a knife like into like a kid who's like alive, but like getting it, and then they like stick it in all the kids and like.
I would have died so early.
And like your medicine is like a wet towel on your head. Like that's like
And
now we're like that coffee didn't sit right. I'm gonna go take 500 milligrams of aspirin and just forget that I have a problem in my head.
Or I'm going to go to the entire building, and then I'm going to go to the entire aisle that has several options that will fit me perfectly.
People forget that most people used to die from diarrhea. Like that's like a number one killer. And now we're just like, I'll go to Taco Bell. It's fine.
Technically dehydration.
Well, technically,
right? Because it's like, oh, you didn't drink water while you were shitting your brains out.
Yeah. Into a hole in the backyard if you're lucky. Yeah.
Oh, in pain.
Yeah, I think you guys were saying that the one time. I think you were on the other podcast, and you were like, you asked me about it later. You're like, oh yeah, I think it was like a good idea. Like it would have been cool to live back in like the 1800s or something like that. And I was like, there would just be poop everywhere. Like as much as you hate dog poop on the sidewalk when you walk by it, it's like just everyone's poop.
I've never ever thought that it would be cool to live in any other time than now. Just because the 90s were the greatest time, in my opinion. I thought that was the peak of humanity, and it's been downhill ever since. And we lived during that time, and we were like kids during that time. So I wouldn't have. Yeah, it's like everything's already figured out now. pretty
Yeah.
much. Like everything's like, nope, don't do that. Yep, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. No, you can't do that. Like it's like common knowledge pretty much now.
Right.
Like you have to be an idiot to die of like eating the wrong thing,
There's
or
no
like you just
excuse.
weren't
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah. There's no excuse anymore.
We
That's
even
the
have
problem.
giant needles in like little packets in like fanny packs around, your mom, just
Yeah.
in case you eat a peanut.
Right. It would just be like, what's wrong with that kid? Well, that
Like
would just be like the end of it.
George Washington Carver.
Muscle through it.
Like
Drink some water. That was like the solution. Like, you
Louis,
choking? Drink some water.
Louis C.K. He's like, maybe if all of us for a year just go like this, then all the kids with peanut allergies will be dead. Or, I mean, will be gone. Then no one will have peanut allergies anymore or something. He's like, just look the other way and let them
I had a lady yell at us at Disney
get
on Ice
weeded out.
like 3 years ago. We were at
I love
Disney on
Disney
Ice,
on Ice. I'm a big fan.
and
They're
like
always enjoyable.
there's like an intermission, so we brought like peanut butter and jelly
Oh,
sandwiches for the
yeah.
kids to eat, and the kids are like eating them. And this lady, like, she was like 3 or 4 rows back, was like, "What are you doing bringing that here?" It's like didn't even like just hey,
Was it my dad?
like just started screaming at us, and I was like hey, like,
Jeff Hassinger?
love to help you out. Normally you don't start conversations that way, and chances are you're sitting in peanuts. Like you are at like a sports stadium that barely gets cleaned up. So chances are like there was another show earlier, there's a show afterwards. Like somebody could have sneezed peanuts all over your seat. My kids are like 4 rows up. They're sitting there quietly, like eating it like this. We're in a giant open ceiling. I'm like, I can't understand.
Did she
And
work
and, e-
there?
and even then, I'd be like,
Did she work there or was she just
"Hey,
Karen?
move further away or something like that. Eat your sandwich." But she's just unloaded. She's like, "How dare you?"
She didn't work there?
No, it was just like somebody watching the show, and during the break you stop and they try to sell you a bunch of stuff, and I'm not buying any of the popcorn or the $17 spinny light up things. So
I had someone like ask me to tell Hannah to. I had someone say, "Can you have your child sit down?" Hannah was like 2. She was like, 1.5 feet tall, and she was standing on her seat. She was shorter than me, who was sitting in my seat, and she was standing, and so her head wasn't even as high as mine. And
yeah,
the person behind her was standing, and a whole bunch of people were standing. It was like, let it go. And she's like going like this to me. Like Hannah's head must have been in the line. I don't know what the hell, what she was like, what she
right.
thought she was going to get me to do. So I just went like this and kept watching the show. It was all dark. No one saw. And I turned around. I was like,
To this
"Shut
day,
the
I'm
fuck.
the
The kid
only
is not
soul.
doing anything for you."
I would
No, I
never. If it
told
was
Heather on the ride
you,
home.
like if it was you jumping up and down in the seat or something like that, I could understand it. In that scenario, the kids can do whatever the hell they want. The show's for the kids. The kids can stand up. The kids can do like
The kids are
backflips.
the VIPs. They're
Yeah.
the VIPs. They don't like accommodate the adults at this
Well,
thing.
like
Unless
even
they're
while I'm
like,
there,
down to.
while I'm there, all I'm thinking about is like the kids around me. Like I want not just my kids, I want all the kids to have a good time. And so
Totally.
if there's like a kid like behind me, I'm like scrunching down in my chair just to make sure that they have a line of sight because I don't matter, right? Like I'm
I'm
not
usually in
like
the aisle.
Goofy. Like I'm there to just like take a picture of my kids and make sure they like I normally bring those light up bracelets. Like I buy 100 pack before we go because they're like $10. And then I'm just like, you get a bracelet and you get a product. Like I just start throwing bracelets out to like all the kids because I'm like, it's
I
like
don't know
their
why.
New Year's,
I don't know why I don't text you every time I'm going to something with where kids will be, because I just rely on my energy level to like entertain them. But there's
That's normally enough.
some dollar store gold out there though that could like give me a break from that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, light up bracelets. It's only like a certain time of the year that it's going to be beneficial to kids, because if it's 9 o'clock at night, like the kids are going to be in bed. So anytime in the summer, they're useless, and then they're cold in the
Or if they're
wintertime when
going
we,
somewhere
yeah.
where it's dark,
So it's like fall.
like a roller
Like
skating rink.
fall is like the best time to have them on hand
Oh, right, because it's dark more.
because it's dark more, right? And
Right.
there's more of a chance that they're going to be out while it's dark enough to enjoy them. Or if you're in a building like Disney on Ice, like where the lights go down. I would
Yeah.
also always hold on to any sort of light
Laser
up
tag.
stick. Every light up stick, hold on to it. When they're done, replace the batteries, put it away. Take the batteries out, store it, and have it ready for any situation where light up sticks are going to happen
Ooh.
again, and bring the light up sticks.
What the heck is a light up stick? A glow stick?
Whatever, like a wand, like they collect them, you can even get like some of the things are like lollipop spinny light up things, like whatever it is,
Oh,
just
yeah.
save it. And
Hannah
then
has like 3 Elsa ones, and then like
right.
they both have an Ariel one that also blows bubbles and sings music and lights up.
That sounds like it was probably from Disney on Ice or from Disney.
It
Like
was.
that. Yeah.
I'm a
Right.
big fan. I love Disney on Ice. I know
Yeah.
all the words. I look
Sometimes
cool in front of my
it's
kids.
good. Sometimes it's like not great. But this year was good. This year they just like ignored all of the new movies that came out. They're like, no, don't worry. We didn't see them either. Like they
Oh,
didn't
I
have like
know. I
any of the new
know.
movie stuff in it. I was like,
Like
oh good.
Wish.
Yeah.
They're like Wish went right in.
They did they did do like a 30
alligators.
second song for Wish, and everybody just, it was so funny because all the
They
kids were
booed?
like, no, they just were like is that like one of the kids was like, is that the sister from
must be
Encanto
from
or something? It
Wish.
must be like an Encanto song. Is this like a special song that's like at the end of the like
Credits.
nobody knew what it was. It was almost like you could almost see like a hook coming out to like pull the person off. This is so bad. Like
The
nobody
star.
saw it. Yeah.
Hey, last episode, I do remember we talked about how we both are kind of like into like the trials and stuff. Or actually, well, you like have been like a juror a bunch of times,
Rural.
and
Juror.
I I love the OJ trial, but most recently the Depp, and then some recent ones like this Murdaugh maniac who killed his son and his mother or his wife, and this recent one, the Apple River stabbing,
Oh, okay, yeah, I heard about that.
pretty insane. And he got convicted. He was guilty, and I was like, oh, these jurors have never been like ganged up on before.
Yeah.
Because like I would have stabbed more people if they were doing to me what they were doing to that kid. I was like, I would have went overboard because he was just getting pushed into. It's like no one can see the floor that he's falling on. It's nothing but jagged rocks.
Right. Yeah.
That
Falling in
that
a
aren't
stream
like,
is like so, and some of it there could be like sharp metal down there. Like it's not fun.
It's a night. It hurts. Like he's getting hurt, and they're splashing him, and then they're hitting him in the face. Dude, I would have. I mean, I probably would have been like, "Get away from me!" I probably wouldn't have. So that's probably why I got taken guilty. But I'm like, I felt so bad for him because he had no. It's not like he's a violent guy, so it's like those jackals.
I'll have to watch it, yeah.
The dude that was filming it, screaming, God, dude. They go, he said he's looking for little girls. Out of nowhere, just made it up. And he just kept saying that. And then everyone's like ready to kill a pedophile. So they just surrounded him. And he's like, what the fuck? That dude is the instigator.
Yeah, I think that would be like a call for mob, right? Like that would be like
should be in trouble.
That would be that would be like a call to violence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I'm like, I hope that catches up to that jackass because dude,
that's like yelling fire. That's like yelling fire in a theater, right?
And he's screaming and he's laughing and they're all screaming. It's just nuts. And but then he he gashes like 4 of them, but then one he just literally basically cuts them in half.
When did it happen?
2 years
Like-
ago
Okay.
on like a river.
It's
in
odd that the
Wisconsin.
video like just surfaced now. Like, was the video not out?
The trial just started
You don't think
guess,
this
like,
kid posted it on Facebook? Like,
2 weeks ago. I think it was confiscated.
oh.
You know, like, dude, it was like the cops. I mean, I haven't watched all of it because I can't like go there.
Yeah.
I don't need to really see that. But it was like it was one of those things that just happened so fast because they all thought that they were just toying with this guy.
Sure.
Next thing you know, one kid's face down in the water. There's blood all around him, and 4 other people are running away, holding their guts in their body.
Mm.
Oh
Are your guts okay?
no! That was my sack. It fell off the chair.
I think I tore my sack.
What did I say?
I tore my sack. Before that.
What a silly movie.
Gosh, that was a great one.
Fun.
But yeah, with stuff like that, I mean, like a lot of the things that I've seen, they all seem to happen quickly. Like all of it happens like within 30 seconds, you know? It's like, so that stuff's kind of crazy.
Dude, I remember in 6th grade, a bunch of these dudes from Miami heard that Clark and I were making fun of them, and they all, like 7 of them, like,
Wait, hold on.
all
This is 6th grade?
yeah,
And
6.
oh, from UNAMI, not Miami. I'm sorry. I heard Miami and I was like, how on earth did you make enemies
may have said
in
it.
Miami? Like what
was international.
what underground stuff are you
It
in?
was countrywide. No, UNAMI.
They flew
the
up.
Public school.
They flew
the
up
public,
to get us.
The public street tough kids with
Yeah.
broken homes and just did whatever the hell they wanted.
Probably not really, but they probably
not
just
really.
they just went across the street.
No. I know
We
them
were
all. I
just
eventually became friends with all of them and like played basketball on like a team with them,
Yeah.
and knew all about them.
Yeah.
But like had known some of them, but they were all in my face and they were screaming at me, and I was trying to get their hands off my shirt and I couldn't. And then all of a sudden a chaperone came over and like broke it up, and me and like Schwartz like bolted to the bathroom. And I remember being like, that felt like it was never ending, but it almost felt like it didn't even happen.
Where was
Like
it?
when in the cafeteria.
Like in St. Jude's
At
cafeteria?
St. Jude, yeah.
They went like into the cafeteria? Or is this during a dance or something?
Yeah, it was during a dance. I can't
Oh,
believe
okay.
I didn't say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
it was during a
I was like,
a
how
mix-
were they in there?
It was during a mixer. We were in 6th grade, and they invited the public school kids from UNAMI who
Yeah.
were in 7th and 8th. And yeah, they all like ganged up on me. And, I talked my way out of it in the bathroom. That's when I kind of like learned how to use words, especially if you're not going to win with fists. But I was like, I think I'll do this first instead of throw down.
Well, it's definitely
As many times as I can.
in 6th grade. I mean, you've got enough things to worry about at a dance, right? Like you're probably thinking more about the girls and dancing and the whole dynamics of the class and everything like that. Plus this other catalyst comes in when it comes to fighting. Like you don't really have a purpose. Like you're not. It's not like you were going in to fight, right? Like or expecting a fight, right? So.
But I had a bad feeling for some odd reason that whole day. I'm like, I remember after school on my couch, like, there was still like an hour or 2 before we had to go. I'm like watching Saved by the Bell, and I'm like, why am I nervous? And it was weird because Nikki, this girl, she just told 2 of these gang members that we were making fun of them. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what I would say to make fun of you for.
Right.
And then I remembered, like way later, what I did, but I didn't really make fun of them. I was just like imitating them, and it was literally one line. Like Clark said one line, and I said another line, and that was it. Because later, when I was on the Mr. White's, when I was on the varsity basketball team in 7th grade, a couple of them were on the team,
Yeah.
and they were like, why did that even? They were like, what even happened there? Like, why were we? And I was like, you guys like thought I made fun of you, and they were like, did you? And I'm like, no, but sort of. And they were like, what? And they were like, what did you say? And I like told them the little like routine, and they all laughed. They all
Yeah.
thought it was funny. They all thought it was funny. And I was like, you scared the shit out of me. You like traumatized me forever. Jackasses. They were like apologetic though. It was weird.
Yeah.
Because like two of the members, they like tug along with us, even though they weren't on the team. So they also kind of just like became like, hype men.
Yeah.
But also like I like got to know them.
It's so weird sometimes because it's like I feel like I've been on both
It was a
sides of
life
it.
lesson, man.
Yeah, like where I fought people that I probably shouldn't have fought. Like I was just listening to somebody else. Like fighting.
When did you get in fights?
Like there were
In
times
college?
there were just times like where we would like go not in college. I know. I guess I did get in a few in college actually. And it's funny because now that I live in the same neighborhood I went to college in,
Oh
it's like I
yeah.
walked by certain steps and I was like, oh, my life could have ended there. It's like, all right, kids, come on, let's go get pizza. Like
Why? Because you were in a fight there, or you
there was one
witnessed
time
a
it was the fourth and what was it, fourth and 32, or what was it, the famous Eagles play. It was right after that play.
4th and
Fourth
26.
and
Fred
26. Thank you.
X.
Yeah, Fred X. Yeah, Fred X. Yeah, that's right. Because I met like a girl and
Mitchell.
hung out
Freddie
with,
Mitchell.
yeah, with Freddie Mitchell. Anyway, but we were at like a frat watching it, a Penn frat, and I'm just sitting there like watching the game, and some of the guys that were there were just like had been drinking all day, and I just hadn't been, and so I was able to. I think what was happening was I was dropping a lot of jokes in the room, and like everybody was laughing, but I think I was
Uh,
taking funny away
uh,
from one of the
uh,
guys,
uh,
which I didn't mean to do.
I'm the joke maker.
Like I think everybody was like busting each other's balls, and like you kind of go around the room, make fun of each person, but I don't think when it got to him, he enjoyed the making fun of, and so then
I was
there was
never.
like,
I was never into that.
well, I mean, like
I was never a ball breaker.
especially like as you got through the day, especially if I didn't know anybody, like it would just seem like you make fun of yourself, and then other people
Yeah.
make fun of themselves, and then whatever
Self-dep.
they said, you use that in like in a perfect time joke that's with something else we're talking
You
about.
hold on to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
so that guy just kind of had, I guess, his eyes like ready to get me or something like that, and I think I went downstairs to like pick up food, or I went downstairs for something right after that play because I remember it was like a big deal. And then
It was. I knew it was gonna. I knew it was
and
gonna.
he kind of just like tried to follow me out the door, and just like swung at me, and I don't know any sort of
Whoa!
self defense or anything like that, but
I'm gonna do a karate stance.
I just know he like swung at me, and I just grabbed his body weight and I just flung him out the door, and then I just shut the door, and I was like,
You were like, I'm an engineer.
did that just happen? Like,
Physics.
because I wasn't even like ready to
You
like
lose.
fight him. I was just ready to just throw, like, I'm like, I threw him out the door.
You're
He
like
fell
you're
down
like
the
a
steps,
fulcrum.
and I just shut the door. And I was like, I think that's over then, right?
Like, I'll give the assist to gravity.
Like that's the one thing I don't understand about like fights these days. It's like the fights used to just like end. Like you'd fight if you fell down, you were
And somebody was
then
probably like,
who's
all
ever's
right.
bitch. Like who would like that would that's how it ended. And then you'd go on. Like you'd
Bitch
live
was
for
assigned.
another day, but it was like you wouldn't like then kick them in the head as they're down, right?
No.
And I've just
No,
seen
until
like
they're
more
dead.
and more and more of that, where it's like you don't understand that the fight's over like once you like knock them down, like that's basically it. Like you're just, and you might even be friends now. Like that's also how guys work, right?
Right.
Like,
That happens.
but it's
We've been doing that since the cave days. It's a tradition. Don't ruin it by stomping a head so much that the brain swells and they die.
right.
Immigrants.
Yeah.
These fucking immigrants in New York City that are like doing it to cops. I'm like, here it all comes apart.
Are you just like absorbing like all of
Not
the,
a
is
good
there like
sign.
just like a news feed? You're just like drinking or something right
Dude,
now?
I've been talking about wrestling, movies, and TV shows. This shit is like hard to avoid
Yeah.
if you like step outside. You
Oh,
know,
that's the
like
thing. I don't go outside anymore.
yeah, like
I drop the kids off
I
and I come right back to here.
like here's the deal. And I hate it because Heather one day was like, "Why do you even think about this stuff? It doesn't affect you." And this is like 3 years ago. And I was like, if I never look or care about like politics and all that shit again,
Yeah.
like you won't care, right? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, good. Then I'm not. And I've like, like unfollowed any, even like comedians that are political. I've like just, it's just no more. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with this election. But I go to Dunkin' every other day, and I go in the store because I like to go in the store, and I wait in line, and they have the damn CNN on, and I just stare at it like a moron, and it's like impossible to not, for like 3 seconds observe what's happening.
Oh, sure. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying that. Like,
And then because I was there, my phone somehow goes, "Hey, remember that TV in Dunkin' Donuts? It was talking about this bullshit again." And sometimes I have autoplay on my phone, but yeah, I don't. I do not look for that shit. I look for the make believe and the fun, and the videos where like this girl has like an entire kitchen, including like every meat that you can imagine, but like miniaturized.
oh yeah, I've seen the miniaturized thing. Yeah, that's
Tiny
cute. Yeah,
cakes.
that's cute.
Uh,
That's fun. I enjoy that.
Pardon me. Pardon me.
Well done. Should we go
Yeah.
into some uh, fatherly
Yeah.
advice?
Yes, I just did have to. I felt like I did have to defend my feed. I am not a
Oh no, no, no! I'm not saying
doomsday
that.
scroller.
I just feel left out because I'm like, am I? Is there like an invasion I'm not aware of that I should be like worried about here in
It's
Philly?
like if it's like a news story, it's because like I couldn't have avoided it. Like I just like bumped into it.
My new rule is like believe everything 10%.
Yeah, I know. I don't even. I'm just kind of like, what if this was happening in a movie? That's like how I'm viewing it because I'm like, I don't even know if it'll play out. If it'll
I
pay
think
off.
I think
If
the only
it's a
thing I've
fake
seen
out,
recently that
a
plays
red
out like a
herring.
movie is like one like the heroin addiction, like the fentanyl, like that's real. Like I see that. There's definitely everybody hunched over, like even on UPenn and then if you go towards like
Kensington.
Kensington and stuff like that. But even more, it's like if you just go to like the Girard stop on the L, you'll see a bunch of people hunched over. Like riding the L is just not fun anymore. Like it's like it used to. Like I still remember like in college, like riding it back drunk from like an Eagles game and stuff, or just using it all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
But now it's like it's a gamble every time you go on it. So I'm like, I'll be all right. I'll just take the trolley. But and
Kooks.
then the other thing that was like the pandemic when they were like when people were like protesting in the street and like throwing stuff and like fight. That was like nuts. That was like, and they smashed all the stores and stuff. That didn't make any
I
sense. They
know,
smashed the
dude.
grocery store and took all the booze out of it and trashed all the food.
It
So
was like the Rodney King shits. They were just like, all right, we're just gonna take whatever we feel like. Any glass will be broken.
and then the next week they
And
were expecting there to be food in the grocery store and there wasn't.
I
It was boarded
remember
up.
that. I was
And I'm
like,
like,
that's not real.
and like everybody was like, everybody in the neighborhood was like, where are we supposed to get food now? And then I'm like, oh man, I am really glad I bought a big bag of rice before all this. So we will make that last. We will poop in the yard. Okay.
It's like the people complain about the paper straws. It's like, well,
Did you hear about that? Did you hear about the paper straws? That the chemical that they use to bond the paper
Yeah, they're like
straws so they
worse.
last longer. It's worse than
Fucking idiots. And they're bullshit. Just make the ones that when they go into the ocean, the turtles can eat them. Like I've seen those, you idiots. Get your act together, Gates.
Did you ever see the paper straw in the plastic container?
Oh yeah.
It's like,
It's pathetic.
but
I'm like, I
the
can't
very
taste it.
thing I was trying to prevent. It's like it's Kramer returning the pants that he was wearing, right? Like it's
Right. The very pants I was trying to return. That's perfect irony. That's interesting writing, Elaine. See? You should be coming up with more like stuff like this.
all right. So I've got 4 here. They seem pretty short, so I think we can knock them out. There is response to mother-in-law? Question mark. Let him soothe himself to sleep, in quotes, about my 5-week-old. 5-week-old. Husband showed scary movie trailer to our 6-year-old. This is a longer one. So frustrated with how my relationship has changed with my mom since becoming a parent. That could be an interesting one. And
I forgot you were reading titles. I thought you were.
I'm reading the titles. Yeah, no. Otherwise, this would be
okay. No,
quite a schizophrenic.
I know. I was like, is this a Craigslist ad?
No, these are your 4 choices. This is choice number 4 is I get so bored at toddler activities. So we've got toddler activities.
Okay.
Relationship with mom, scary movie trailer, and let him soothe himself to sleep at 5 weeks. What would you like to start with?
Let's do scary movie trailer. It's right up my ass. Okay. Right up my anal.
Husband showed scary movie trailer to our 6-year-old. Pop up, keep going right in the middle of the paragraph. My mind is blown because I cannot understand why on earth my husband would show the Alien trailer from 1979 to our 6-year-old daughter. Now she is scared and is following me everywhere and doesn't want to sleep in her room alone. I just cannot understand why he thought that would be okay to do. I'm seriously angry and confused. It's not funny to mess with a 6-year-old. My husband said it's no big deal because the trailer doesn't show anything. It's just creepy music. What is the best way to handle this? What is the best way to handle it?
Well, now you got to show the kid that it's make believe, that it's a movie, and that how show her something where like it's behind the scenes on YouTube, and like whatever she just saw, show them, it's out there.
Yeah, but that could ruin Alien for her. Alien's a really great movie. You don't really want to break the magic of the movie.
I understand, but the trauma, it's like it almost won't matter, but like you gotta get that there now too, because she's so young and like it's all like imprinting and stuff that she'll remember forever. I don't even know. It's amazing. I didn't do a reaction to it. I've been slacking lately.
No, but I mean, it's from 1970. It's like the original Alien.
Oh, well, I should do that.
Let's see it. Hold on, let me see if I can bring it up.
When did that come out? 1979. Okay, so after Star Wars. Okay. So Ripley was a female hero, but not.
I think I need to see it to understand, because like they're just all. I'm just going off what she says is scary. So let me see.
Yeah, watch it.
Let's see if I can bring it up. Let's see. Add new layer.
I think 6 is an age where, that can fuck her up for like a long time, but you gotta like hammer in reality for her, like pretty much right away, and get her to understand how it's all fake, and that people do this for a job, and that's actually what that's how good these people are, that they made a trailer that was so good it made her scared. So, and then start teaching her how to make them. because every parent can do that now. It's not just like you don't have to be like some rich family with a video camera. You can just do it on your phone and let her see through the make believe.
I don't want that. Stop it.
I don't either, but she's 6, so it's already like on its way out. The make
Right, can you see it?
The
There we go.
Santa.
This is the.
What music do I hear? Is that you?
It's the trailer. Move us down while we watch it.
Great movie. Of Sigourney. Nobody else's name is Sigourney. Cellulite?
Yeah.
It's that image. It's this right here. It's the running. That's fucking her face. She's so believable.
There's a cat. I don't know if I like this trailer. Great line. Great.
What an idiot. What an idiot.
Yeah. Why would you even...
I mean, I'm a trailer guy, I've reviewed about 400 trailers. That one's brutal at the end there. With even just the cat alone, that's scary enough for a kid. Right. For a 6-year-old girl. Shit, man.
No.
Here's what needs to happen.
You were wrong, sir.
Your husband needs to just say, hey, I totally misjudged that, and I'm sorry. And he needs to kind of unravel what made her scared. And
I don't even because you'd almost have to show her more to make it make sense, because it's not even the like you were saying, the make believe part of it that makes it scary. In that it was more the music, and then these like quick cuts. It's the anxiety. Like that thing was just straight anxiety.
It's a great trailer. It's like whoever made Alien. Who was it? Scott, I think.
Scott Ridley, yeah.
Yeah, I think he made that trailer also, which is rare.
Yeah.
Because it was weird, and all of a sudden I was like, in the beginning, I'm like, who cares? Then once that cat hisses,
and the kid,
and then you get
a 6-year-old's going to notice the cat more than anything, right? Like,
and the people that look like they're in deep shit.
Yeah.
Like they're going to pick up on that terror that's in everyone's eyes. Especially Sigourney.
Doesn't show anything. It's actress. Just it doesn't show anything is not right. See, like if I would have just read this and said, he said it doesn't show anything. Like I thought if it's just like the egg coming up and the egg cracks and like then it just says aliens, like he might have something, like.
He's saying it doesn't show the alien, but it shows humans in deep trouble, and some of them like looking like not normal at all.
Right.
Like some of them with their eyes rolled back of their head. That's scary shit.
And I wouldn't even say it's creepy music. It's high intensity anxious music. Like it
is the last thing I wanted it to end. I wanted it to end.
I just wanted. I wanted it to stop early. Yeah, it's not. It didn't make me feel good. It's not going to make a 6-year-old feel good.
I was like, this is a lame 70s trailer, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, this trailer is amazing. Jesus, why did this dad show his daughter this trailer? God, you need to say I'm sorry.
I would say like if you were in the theater and you saw that trailer, there wouldn't be like a funny retort like after it's all over.
No. No, man. I agree. That's like an
that would shut
incredibly
you up real
an
quick.
incredibly timeless trailer where it's like, even though you can maybe feel the age,
Yeah,
I don't care. It's still scary.
yeah.
Ooh.
That was a tough one. No, she's right. Now going immediately to Reddit to rant about your husband. I don't know about that part, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, I just can't believe he. It's like, did he see the trailer first, or was he like, "Yo, I'll show you the first Alien trailer"? I don't, I don't know how he got to that point. He must be a huge fan to just be like, to like trick himself into thinking that was not gonna
Uh, of
scare the
trailers,
crap out of her.
of the trailers, like you got to be careful even with like the Roger Rabbit trailer. Like I don't know where you're like, let's start with like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for my 6-year-old. Like I don't know
And let
where
me tell you
your
something.
starting point is.
I don't know if 6-year-olds really have wrapped their head around what trailers even are.
Yeah.
Like Hannah's still kind of like, well,
Did I just watch the
what
movie?
is that? Just it? Is that just it? Because it's kind of all the parts I probably need to see. Like some of them that are 2.5 minutes. It's I don't know. I'm just like, why would you? Out of all, I don't know. He's an idiot. You got to apologize, dude. That's the only thing.
Yeah, yeah, you're wrong. That was
Like,
bad.
didn't you ever get scared by a movie that kind of like didn't didn't immediately go away? And if that didn't happen to you, it that it's like, I don't know. It's a touchy thing, but I would never be offering it up to them before 16.
Not, I mean, Alien. Oh my god, like maybe
Maybe not
13,
not before 20.
maybe 13. Like you could
No,
probably
it just
handle it.
depends on the kid, but I just
Yeah,
still
it
think
does. It does depend on the kid. Yeah,
there's going to be things on there that a 6-year-old doesn't even know how to explain. So
and
that's
and kids just,
horrific.
it's so funny because we just started watching the Batman animated series with the kids, and it's
A little
really interesting.
violent.
It's really it's. I was a bit worried. Like Kelly still gives me a look every time like there's like guns, which is like every single episode.
Ryan, I used to always be like, this is like a movie on a cartoon. How are they doing this?
It's phenomenal, but it's so funny because when I watch Ruby watch it and Leo watch it, they pull completely different parts from it. Like first off,
Cool.
they fall perfectly into every trap like in any episode where like we just watched the Clayface one, and in the beginning he's pretending to be Bruce Wayne, like the Matt Hagen guy is pretending to be Bruce
Oh,
Wayne, and then Batman shows up and they're like, wait, like like what's happening, like how, like that can't be the real Batman. But then they see like Batman like swing in and like knock people down, they're like, wait, and they're like, Dad, tell us like what's happening here. And I'm like, no, you're gonna watch it, like you're gonna enjoy every
oh
second of
my.
it.
Yeah, like they always want to be spoiled. I'm
but
like, no.
but like Leo is more about like the whole um world of Batman. Like now he wants to know like who Harvey
Oh,
Dent is. How did Harvey Dent become Two Face? Like he wants to know like the specifics of the story of everybody. And Ruby's watching it, going,
wait.
"What? What?
Are you like Ruby? I'll see you in a few years.
Wait, what do you mean?"
Leo wants to know about Batman. You're like an encyclopedia.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like he's kind of experiencing it through the cartoon. Like I'm not
Oh,
going
it's
to
his
give him
first.
information. He has to
Go get
digest
it.
it through that first, and then he's got to digest it through like all the many different comics that there are, and dissolve it into a story. Because I
So
mean,
funny.
they were watching one of the Joker ones, and they're like, and Ruby's like, "How did the Joker come about? What's his real name? Like, where's?" I'm like, "Yeah, nothing. You don't get any of it. Sorry."
Oh no. I know. That's
They
like
hint
another
at it in the
thing.
Phantasm, but we'll get there eventually. They don't know that there's like the whole Mask of the Phantasm movie and stuff.
Do
So I'm
do
like,
you like do you give them like nuggets though? Like I tease stuff. Like I try to like tease them to get into things. I'm like, oh, well, Iron Man sacrificed his life to save the world. And Hannah will be like, what are you talking about? sometime. Something like that. I'll be like, well,
Well,
Bucky's 120.
it's but I mean, it's interesting to kind of watch it again, but through their eyes because they're like, wait, hold on, um,
Mhm.
is Catwoman good or bad? And I'm like, well, what do you guys think? They're like, well, she's stealing stuff, so that's bad. But she's stealing stuff from people that are like hurting a lot of other people, and then she's trying to give it so that animals can get saved. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, but Batman arrests her. And I'm like, that's true too. And they're like, well, why does Batman arrest her if she's got to be bad if he's arresting her? But she's also doing
Ah,
good things. Like they start to see like the complexity in the characters, and then we watched the Mister Freeze episode, and they were like, oh, but he's just trying to save his wife. Like he wasn't doing anything really wrong. But then he was being mean.
really?
But they're like, oh, I feel really bad. Like they were like almost crying at the end of the Mister Freeze episode. They're like, oh, like that's just not fair for him. Like he lost his wife, and it was really just this like mean executive guy who like did it, and
Great
like
writing. Your
like
kids are like absorbing the villains, like emotional
and Ruby, I've just been
beats.
she's big on the skills of the drawing. So she's like, oh, they're lighting their faces from underneath because like there's acid down there and it's glowing green, and so all their faces are only that's the only place where light's coming from, and their faces it's like somebody drew all that. She's like, oh, that's really awesome, and then she'll be like the Clayface episode where he like kept changing. They're like, oh my gosh, how long did it take somebody to draw all these like lines of people like wisping in and out of like the different characters and stuff.
Did
And
Ruby draw the pig mooning you or something like that? Did Ruby draw like a picture of something
she draws
and
a
it was
lot of stuff.
and it was like an animal showing its ass maybe?
There was like a super strong chicken that was like a chicken. Let me see. I normally send you when there's some real
Yes.
good ones.
Yes.
You got it?
Yes. Dude, this picture of a cat showing its ass.
Oh, she drew that. That was on like her homework. Like that was like a
Though,
turned in test.
but I
Yeah.
mean, it's like she either like watched someone draw that exact thing, and the fact that she's recognizing lighting on animation before she's 10.
I forgot about that picture. That's so funny. Yeah. She just put
Yeah,
a
she's like aware of she has like an artistic eye, dude. That's like
little X.
crazy,
Yeah.
because like you know, I could draw, so you can like see things like in your head, kind of different. Like your mind's eye is pretty sharp, and
Yeah.
that's how you can like put it on the paper. And it's like she's already advanced, like way advanced.
No,
It's pretty neat.
it's pretty. Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm just enjoying the fact that she's like pointing it out. I would have never guessed that that's what she'd be pulling from the animated series. Like I thought she would just kind of watch it and be like, "Oh, this is cool." Like, "Oh, that's a good story," or like, "Oh, like the music's nice," or something like that. But I didn't expect it to be like. She's like, "Oh, wait, now the scene's from his perspective. Like, see him pushing the door." Like she's. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even. Oh, I didn't even notice that." Like. And I have these scenes like I have the episodes like
Those are
burned
all the
into my
things I
brain
think
from
of.
like watching them so much, you know. So
I want to rewatch them. I watched them like when they were on live, like
oh yeah, you
as
definitely have to
as
rewatch
I
them.
caught them.
They're
And
fantastic.
I remember looking through all the episode titles, and I was like, man, they treated this like it was just live action on HBO.
Oh yeah, no, like everything was like a little mini movie. Yeah, it's like the one show where like if the kids watch it, they're like, wow, that was really long, and I'm like, that was still 22 minutes. Like I don't know, like your
Oh
other
yeah,
shows
yeah,
are
they
also
pack in
22
so
minutes, but
much.
there's just so much.
I
Like
remember that they pack in so much.
yeah,
It was so good. The guy Conroy's so great.
yeah. Um. All
I
right, so
am. Let's go to Sugar. What was it?
soothe himself to sleep,
No,
relationship with
5 weeks.
mom, and bored with toddler activities.
Bored with toddler activities.
This one's pretty short.
Relationship with mom?
So frustrated with how my relationship has changed with my mom since becoming a parent.
Ooh, I just every 2 weeks have that discussion with a sibling of mine who's not older than me. And let's go to that one then.
All right, all right. So it seems like it's a deep one. If hopefully it doesn't just be like she ate my hoagies and I don't want her to,
Yeah,
I don't.
because I definitely, I have a perspective.
Yeah,
I've gone through the ups and downs with Betty.
I think everybody has. I mean, it's definitely part of a growing, like a growth that you have to do. All right.
It's the work. It's a relationship.
I don't know if this is even the right place to post this. I just really need to vent. My mom and I have always been really close, especially as I've gotten older. But once I got pregnant, she started making comments that were so grating,
Ooh.
which she's always done, but now it seems much worse. For example, while I was pregnant, I was really struggling emotionally and physically. I think I may have even been depressed. At least that's how I felt. My mom would ask how I was, and when I would tell her, she would always, capital always, say, "Remember, you wanted this." It was
Oh,
so
gee.
entirely unhelpful. She made other comments too, but you get the gist. I really thought once my baby was here it would get better, but alas, it hasn't. As an aside, I've already decided I want to be a different kind of mom than my mom was, especially in the toddler young child phase. My mom was impatient with me in that time period. She wasn't affectionate at all, and she was never understanding. She was very authoritarian. I'm not trying to say she was a horrible parent because she wasn't. It's simply that I want to do things differently. Anyway, now that my baby is here, when I try to talk with my mom about my baby and or parenting, she just always makes these comments along the lines of, you should be doing this the way I did. Like today, I told her how I was able to get my daughter to start sleeping better by allowing her to fall asleep on her own in her crib while I sat next to her. When I sit next to her, she doesn't cry, and she started sleeping longer for her naps and waking less at night. I told my mom that I didn't think just leaving her and letting her cry would be effective because my daughter is stubborn and I wasn't comfortable letting her cry.
You
Instead,
know
my
you're
mom
good.
instead of my mom congratulating me on finding a system that's working for us, she responds by saying, someday you're going to have to let that baby know who's boss. And I'm
Cunt.
and I'm and I'm just like, she's 5 months old. She has no concept of what that would mean. She's a baby. Anyway, I know the situation is to share less with my mom. Wait. Anyway, I know this. Oh, the solution is to share less with my mom. I'm just having a hard time coming to this realization as I'm used to telling her everything. And I don't have any friends who are moms. So it's hard not having people to talk to about this kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't know what I'm looking to get out of this post, just needed to vent. That's the end.
What is it with mothers and daughters? I'm not saying all mothers and daughters, but it's almost like they talk too much to each other to the point where they like word vomit each other. And it's condescending. It usually is coming from like a good place. Sometimes it can be like from jealousy, but for some reason they're like doing it to them as adults, what they did to them as like children. And doesn't seem to be helpful. But a lot of the daughters just kind of take it and they vent on Reddit instead of like, you know, talk to somebody else. She said she has no friends that are moms. Come on, you got to know someone who's a mom, who had a mom
You can
when
just
she
find a mom.
first became a mom. Like
Mom,
she doesn't have to be a new mom. Every mom goes through this, I think.
yeah, and every mom wants to talk about being a mom. So I've not really met too many moms who don't want to talk about mom stuff.
And everyone does it whenever you're like experienced and you're with someone for the first time.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing to catch yourself being like, when I was here, they used to have that. When I was here, they used to do it this way. I
Yeah.
did that. I caught myself doing that in Disney World. I wanted to punch myself in the teeth.
Wait, what? Like,
And
what was your example in Disney World that you?
I'm not remembering specifics. I might, but like, I just remember being like, "Oh, we used to have to do that when I used to go here
Oh,
back
okay, all
when
right.
I was banging.
Yeah.
When I was banging, you'd wait 2 hours to get on the ride that lasted a minute,
Right.
and we didn't have cell phones. That's like I want to get a T-shirt, and we didn't have cell phones,
Back in my day, we used to
and
pay
we
for
didn't have cell phones.
we used to pay for texts by the nickel.
Oh my god, it's our back in my day, uphill both ways, and we didn't have cell phones.
Internet used to be by the hour.
Yeah. You had to call the internet, and they had to answer.
Here's one thing.
Find a mom.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate here. Um, it sounds like her mom has not changed in the way her mom acts ever.
No.
So for me, one thing I don't understand, and I run into this a lot with people, is why on earth does somebody continue to surprise you when they act exactly the same way?
I choose not to run. No, I agree. It's like why over and over are you stunned by this behavior? It's like that bi-weekly phone call I have. I'm like, I just knew I couldn't do any more of that.
Is bi-weekly twice a week, or is it every other week?
Every 2 weeks, I think. Because you receive your paycheck bi-weekly. You're paid bi-weekly. But it does sound like something else.
I run into that brick wall every time
Twice weekly.
it comes up. I'm like, just say what you mean. Stop using the single word.
I know. I didn't want to. I was
Anyway.
lazy.
But yeah, I mean, like you end up rehashing the same stuff. It's like it's same thing with like bosses, same things with like friends, people. Like it's like what do you think is all of the sudden going to change?
Right. And it's like when Heather and I were venue shopping for our wedding with her mom and dad. And her mom was just like unbelievably negative the whole time. And Heather wasn't laughing. And Heather laughs at like, my D- stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I finally just was like, hey, this can't continue. Like I had to like speak up because I bet it had been. And she goes, I've been saying this to her whole life. And I'm like, that's why it needs to stop even more, you psycho. Like just get off of her now that she's becoming her own person. I think it's like maybe like an empty nest, syndrome.
Yeah.
Where the parents like getting pissed because the kids moving away even more and they're taking it out in the wrong way.
It's almost like parents at some point were humans that had selfish feelings. It's a very odd thing, but
it is. I know. It's like they had their own
desires. We have no selfish desires or anything. We are here to serve our families.
Serve. Here to serve and protect, and all of my wants and needs are given over to my Lord and Savior, Hannah and Charlie.
Exactly.
I am a robot now. No.
But yeah, I mean,
I agree. I agree 100%.
I think that's all it is.
But
go ahead.
Fuck off.
But
Back the fuck off.
But also,
get a hold of yourself. Go get some therapy. You're embarrassing.
I mean, she's not wrong though. I mean, like let's just go off of what she said here. I don't like the remember you wanted this. That's like,
I hate that shit.
I don't like that. I don't
That's
like
what a
when people
villain in
say
wrestling
that.
says.
Yeah.
Remember, Flair, you wanted that.
Right. It's such a yeah, that's just such a passive aggressive like I didn't even know you at that time when you made this decision. Like it's just so
It's like your comment has only
especially
making
with
things worse.
pregnancy, like
So sensitive.
you don't do that.
They
That's
just made a new life. God damn, back off.
you're having trouble being pregnant, which is by far one of the hardest things anybody can go through. Remember you wanted this. It's like, yeah, I remember I wanted this. It still doesn't make it like I also wanted ice cream, but I probably shouldn't have eaten the whole carton. And now I have a tummy ache and I'm going to die of diarrhea, because it's 1840 and I am the inventor of ice cream. But it's like, remember you wanted this, like that's just, I don't agree with that. That's a jerk line. Um,
It's a heel. It's a heel term.
But
So
the
unnecessary.
but the someday you're gonna have to let the baby know who's boss. I get what she's saying. Like there's like a hammer, but
They,
normally it's not.
they always project
I
to
would
the
s-
extreme.
I would say too in most cases I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but it's like in most cases it's the dad that lets the baby
Has
know
to be.
who's boss, right? Like
You have to be the final.
I only have my family to experience it with, and maybe growing up how it went, but it was not. It was normally like if I pushed my mom to the point of having her let me know that she's in charge, I
Oh,
have
Jesus.
gone way past the line.
Way too far.
Way like I pushed the
Being a
barrier
dick.
and then I started dancing on the other side of the
Little
fence,
fuck.
and
Piece of shit.
it's so funny because that threat from her was like an atomic bomb next to like my dad's threat. Like my dad's threat was like all the time. Like it was like I did something wrong. Like I parked the wrong
Right. It was
way. Like
baseline.
it was
It was
these like
baseline
little.
threat level baseline.
It was just
Threat level always.
he was more just like trying to keep me in the lane, like just snapping me. But if I felt if my mom was upset, that was like I did something wrong. Like I said something wrong or I did something wrong, and it's like I need like a life correction, not like a course correction. Like I need to go meet God and have a chat. Like it's happening right now. It's a
It was more like I cared because I was just always anticipating just the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing that from my dad?
yeah.
But it was like if I made my mom mad, I was like, I'm being unbearable, I guess. The person who loves me
I
most is pissed.
I'm being unbearable. Like yeah, it's like you stretch something like too far, and then you're like, oh, why did I break the thing I love? You feel like of mice and men, like like
I did
petting the
a.
mouse.
I'm gonna sound so cool here. No, but I remember in a sociology class at Penn State, one of the first like tests we did for one of the first tests I did was on all these surveys that they took around the world, and one of them was lost it. God, I did all the build up about looking cool. What were we just talking about?
The surveys we were talking about like relationships with parents and stuff like that, and then at Penn State you had a sociology class
Relationships
or
with
something, and then
parents.
there was a survey about it.
Totally lost it. I got stuck remembering the survey about how Asian people most want to look like white people. And I thought of all the Asian kids at Penn State, and I was like, oh yeah, they all have like flat tops, like we used to. Some of them
Yeah.
have their hair dyed blonde, like we did back a couple of years.
It's always funny sometimes to like look at other people's hair and be like, like I wish I had hair like that. And they're
I
like,
remembered it. I
okay.
remembered it.
Oh yes. See, there you go. Just needed to divert.
Children, when they are around their mothers, behave 800% worse than they behave around any other person. Because they're just like, they have this automatic, like, I'm fine. There's this person and they're not going to leave. and you
Right.
just think you can do whatever the
Oh.
fuck you want, and now because parents have all these like assistants, electronic assistants, it's like the kid has even more authority. Like get and
Oh
the
man,
mom just wants them to. It's just 800%, and it's so true.
I don't know where the
I'm
800% comes
always.
from, but I see it.
I know. I don't. And again, the math.
Eight
Don't
times
question
what?
it.
8 times, like if you're already like on the ground screaming in a fit, like I don't know how I'm going to make that 8 times worse. But
I know. I'm like, can't you just go to 10?
I
10
get it
times
though. I
worse.
get it though.
That's really
Like
bad.
the kids will come home and like misbehave, and we'll be like, "Do you do this for your teacher?" And they're like, oh, "Of course not." And they'll just be like straight,
Thank
like,
God.
"No, I would never
And
say
like
such things."
I've seen them in public, and I'm like, yo, you like are so polite to everyone in public. Why do you hiss at me now
Yeah.
and spike your iPad on the ground like your grandfather didn't pay whatever for it?
But I do it too. I find that too, like I could be in like a big argument with home or family or anybody like that, and I'll go out to Wawa and I'll hold the door for somebody and be like, "Hi, have a nice day."
Right. Yes,
Like, and I'm like,
because
why for that person who I will never see was I able to be like a smile,
that's
like
so funny
a
because
courtesy,
society, because you choose to keep everything going along the big picture, keep it all together, but in your home, they're stuck there. They're not going anywhere. So like you have to like peel all the layers down.
Yeah.
When you get out in the world, you're like, okay, I'm behaving. I'm here. I'm going to contribute. Here's the door. Have a good day. No
Is it
problem.
like your self image of yourself that like keeps it together?
Yeah, I just think it's
Like I've already
you
ruined my self image enough at home that like there's nothing to salvage. Like you see me for the troll that I am, and then I
know.
go outside and I put my skin mask back on, and force myself back out to the world.
I think you're just, no, I think you're just a member of society, and, you follow the rules.
Yeah,
And,
but
Wawa is
that's a
like a
really
great
interesting point.
example of
I
that.
like that. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
the
it's insane. And I remember my mom, before I was going away to college, was just nuts. She was just like picking fights with me. And I was always like, and I'm always a person who's like, wait, did I start this fight? Did I cause it? Am I winning
Did
it or
she
am I
find
losing it? I never know
something
what's
right?
going on. When I get into a fight with a person, I'm like, it's like just a conversation in my head.
Right.
And then it's whatever's happening on outside. I don't even know. I hate them. Major avoider of confrontation. But my mom was like, I was like, why are we fighting so much? So I was like talking to my shrink about it at the time, Dr. David Greenwald. He was shrink for the Eagles at that time, back in the 90s, late 90s, and actually the year 2000. In the year 2000.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, she's got this is a symptom of empty nest syndrome.
Mm.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, as soon as the birds start flapping their wings and going away, mommy's upset.
Yeah.
And your mom's handling it the wrong way.
It's like, well, just go. Just go.
Taking it out on you.
Yeah, right.
She's got to express her upsetness somewhere else. And I was like, oh, I get it. So I've kind of like been way easier on my mom ever since then. And my brother's been like the opposite. So I'm like, and it's because they live so close. I mean, I think part of me was like, I just gotta get away.
It does make the heart grow fonder. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I just was too cold.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough thing. Like I said, I don't like the pregnancy comment. I think that was extremely hurtful. I think other things you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. Like you want to be a good mom, and your mom raised you. So whatever she did,
I hate to use this word, but it's very overused these days. Boundaries. If you don't fucking establish boundaries, and I'm not saying use the kid as like a, leverage boundary, but like you are this child's mother. So
Yeah.
like start setting up the rules, because if your mother wants to see that kid, she needs to follow your rules for your kid.
Yeah, that's fair, right? Like she's got to wash the dishes the way you want the dishes washed. Um,
And keep her comments to herself. She did a great job. You're going to take it from here. She can
but
just sit back and relax. Shut the fuck up.
yeah, but you need to at least leave the door
That's
open
a tough
for
one though. Yeah,
you need to leave the door open for some advice. Like
you don't want to slam it
you
shut.
can't just shut it and say like my way or the highway,
No,
right?
I agree.
Like
That's
you have to be like this is what we're like
You got to
this
bite
is
your
what
tongue a
they're
lot.
yeah, you got to bite your
That's
tongue
why
but
there's
then
so many jokes about mother-in-laws. They're brutal.
yeah.
They can be brutal because
This isn't a mother-in-law. This is
they
just
want to
yeah.
just her mother. But what mother-in-law? Whatever. It's like
The other one's the mother-in-law one.
grandmother.
Either
It's
way.
like it's a woman who is like kind of going through so much that like I think help it comes out in like weird ways,
Yeah.
immature ways if they're not.
I mean, there's always going to be like a generation before too that was like, "This is how we used to do it in the '80s," you know. And we look at them and we're like, "You gave us Kool Aid, like what? Like that was just like a gallon of sugar water, you know." And
And
uh,
now the number one killer of you is your own heart.
so
Good job.
it's just like, you got to kind of realize that everybody's figuring it out,
It's
right?
all double dutch, and you gotta decide when you're gonna get in
But I do think you should be more
and
positive.
then get out.
Yeah, I think it should be more positive.
And look, it's your mom, so like we were saying, she's kind of stuck with you no matter what.
Yeah.
Hit her over the head with the reality. Just be like, "Yo, mom, that comment sucked. Why did you say that?
Right. Talk to her
Maybe not say that now."
like an equal, but also don't like yeah.
Right.
But
Talk
if
to her
it's
like an
like
equal.
but if she's saying like oh you should do this with the like you should skip this next nap, it's like all right, well why like let's talk about it. Like why do you think I should do that? Like
And yeah, and it's like, and it's not like I don't want your suggestions, but I want you to be cool with me being like, well, now we're gonna do this,
I,
because whatever, this kid is different than the one that you raised, so you just don't know. They're
I
all different. None of them
you
are the same.
know I think we all came to grips with like raise like how we have at some point you have to kind of sit down and decide how you're going to raise your kids. Like there has to be some sort of decision on where you're at with it. Like some of it's flying like week to week, but like the core of it you compare to
Yeah.
your parents, right? You're like, my parents did this, I want to take this part, I like this part of it, I don't like this part of it, I don't want to do that, right? But then at some point, like when you're dragging stuff over or throwing stuff away, you look at it and you're like, but I'm alive. Like there was probably many opportunities for me to die like in this life based on the decisions I make. And definitely some of those decisions were based off of being raised by these parents.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might have put the fear of God
Gut
in me,
instincts
probably
almost,
like
maybe.
maybe like in the wrong way, or maybe I didn't agree with it, or maybe I didn't like it. But I still chose the left path instead of the right path or something like that, and was able to make it through and survived. Right, made the right choice at certain points in time. Probably made wrong choices at some point in time too, but made enough right
Mm.
to get through it,
Hmm.
have my brain finish developing, and then start making better decisions. So I think I struggle with that sometimes when I think of like, oh, like I'm not going to take that, or I'm going to be like extremely light and nice to the kids. It's like, to what point, right? Until like they're completely like off the rails, or like until they start acting out in public, like where,
Yeah, I
you know
mean,
what I mean?
it is tough, and that's something that I think I'm pretty good at, because I'm always good at kind of having fun, but not like. I mean, when I was young, I was horrible at it. but a lifetime, you kind of learn how to really have fun, but never really ruin your reputation.
Yeah.
And the girls kind of are like learning that. Like they're so silly, but they're never like in trouble when it's like in public or anything. I
Sure.
mean,
Yeah.
they're bitches to me, but like if I was a girl, I don't know. They're just normal, I think. Because like I see other kids and I'm like, Jesus God, they're way worse than mine.
Yeah. Well,
I'm like,
that
mine are like
that
fucking
normally helps.
sissies compared to these other fucking, especially these OCs out there. I'm like, oh my God, the whole world revolves around. You don't have to share anything with anyone.
Hmm. The yeah. I think in short, it's just like keeping yourself in check. I just try to make sure if I'm like reprimanding the kids or trying to teach them a lesson, I have to make sure that I'm completely in check, that it's not just me being like, I want to go to sleep, so you need to stop giggling, like that's the point where I need to like catch myself. It's like they're like they might be like singing in bed and it might be like later on in the night and it's like, okay, but I've got kids who are singing in bed because they're happy. They're
He's like,
not
but
like
Dad, you
lighting.
make me laugh like all the time. It's like I'm kind of like on cue to laugh whenever you're there. It's
Yeah.
like almost
It's like,
like Hannah the other day, like or last night, like I was putting her to bed and she's like, "Oh, can I have some water?" And I had this, and it was only like up to there. And I like handed it and it just tilted and it spilled all over. And I'm like, oh jeez, oh jeez. And I like get up and I'm like, hold on, Hannah, hold on. And I like run out into the closet, which is like right outside her door. And she's just sitting in her bed. And I'm like, bud, just don't move. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I like get the towels and I put them on the bed. And I'm like, all right, do you want to like get off or are you okay? And she's like, you're so funny. And I like died.
because you were doing like a live Kramer like like cleanup.
But I was being like,
That's fun.
I thought she was like going to be pissed, and
Yeah.
she was like, "No, it's okay. You're so funny." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I
No,
was
that's
just being a goo. I was just being like Bugs Bunny. I was just
yeah,
bouncing
that's a
around like
huge
an
dad win
idiot.
right there. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love it.
Hell yeah!
All right, you want to knock out one more, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, we can do one more.
I get so bored with toddler activities, or I feel like we just did the let him soothe himself at 5 weeks. I don't even want to talk about a baby that's 5 weeks old. Like you don't.
I know. Soothe itself. It sleeps for 2 hours.
It's a
Take it
five
for a
week
walk.
old. Yeah,
You gotta
like
like train it to sleep.
I think you're a bit early on that.
You
Whatever it
gotta
is,
like
that's
use
not.
tricks, whatever. Get it to sleep. Don't let it cry itself
That's
to
not at
sleep.
5 weeks. Like some people like read the child books and then they're like, oh, it says at 5 weeks we need to start this, and at 6 months there's a sleep regression. It's like, yeah, at some point there's a
Like
sleep
maybe,
regression, but
maybe,
it's not
maybe
every kid.
it's not on the sunrise of the
Yeah,
fifth week.
they're like, go go go, like they like have it
It's
marked on
now.
their
It's
calendar.
now. Like the eclipse.
Sleep. Yeah, right. It's not like that. All right. So I don't like that one. I'm gonna skip that one. All right. So we're gonna do this one's short. I get so bored at toddler activities. This makes me feel like such a bad mum. Mum, I guess she's British.
So it's, yes.
But I don't know why I get so bored taking
Good
my
day, mate.
toddler out. And when we do toddler activities, don't get me wrong, when I see her having a good time, I love it, and it feels me, I guess fills me with so much joy, but I
Doesn't.
don't but I don't know why I feel like I'm not as patient. I'm really trying to read it. Sorry. It's like very bad. For example, I took my toddler to the park today and I literally lasted 30 minutes max. It's not a park suitable for her age, and I'm constantly running after her to make sure she's safe. I saw another mum with a child not much older than mine, and she seemed to not be what? Not be mine. She seemed to not be mind being there, and she was there much longer than me. I guess she didn't mind being there is what she was trying to
Hmm.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was correct.
Yeah.
Am
Magic.
I a bad mom feeling like this? Not sure if it's to do with my mood because I am 30 weeks pregnant now, and I'm also anemic, so I feel exhausted all the time. but I feel like I should be enjoying these activities a lot more than I do.
Dude, it's the worst. You know, it can be so boring at times with them because they can't do shit. They barely understand anything. Uh, you know, and you're freaking pregnant. You're like 30 weeks. I mean, isn't that like halfway or like even more? So, and you're anemic, so you probably feel like drained.
Yeah.
Uh, but like, my favorite thing with Hannah was that water table. I would just fill it up with water and she would just play in it and I would play with her. You don't have to like move. You can
Yeah.
just sit there. You can just sit there and she stands there and plays with it. You do that, you get her soaking wet and in a bathing suit, and then around lunchtime you take her out of the bathing suit and a towel and you put her in cozy clothes and then you stuff her full of food and then you knock her out for a nap
Yeah.
and then you chill out.
Well, I think you're onto the point there. It's like don't don't leave everything open ended. Like don't be like I lasted 30
Plan.
minutes. Like what was your plan? Just to stay there to see how long you could last? Like have a schedule. Break it
Yeah.
down. Like toddlers want to
Right.
change what they're doing. Like when they're older like this, like when they're like 8, you change what they're doing. It's like you just rip their arm off and they're like, "Oh, I was having a good time." Like and
That doesn't go away, as you
that
know.
that is what we're dealing with right now, and
We
it's
fear
like
change till death.
every time something fun is happening and I'm stopping it from happening, like it's like, well, you spent 4 hours playing at a friend's house, like you have to come home now, and it's like, you hate me. I'm like, what? Not like what?
This was to last forever.
Yeah, you have to eat dinner. I'll eat dinner here. Like that's not.
It's like you can't get the ball rolling in the good direction because they don't want it to stop. I always say to Hannah, if you give her an inch, she'll take the circumference of the earth.
Yeah, and the inch. She'll take that away from you. You won't have any more inches to measure things by.
I'll have negative inch.
You'll have negative ninch. Um, but I don't know. I mean, first off, it's you're probably just really pregnant too. Like I don't like it's probably really hard to play with a toddler at 30 weeks. Like
Dude, I am a nimble preteen Swedish boy, and I eventually would be like, okay, we got to stand up, Hannah.
yeah.
And you're pregnant.
I think you just
Impossible. I
I
don't know
think
how women do it.
you just need something to supplement yourself playing with the kids. And I like going to parks. That's fun. But it takes a lot of a toll of paying attention to what they're doing, and
Yeah, you got to
they'll
do a
climb
lot of
up on
physical.
monkey bars and then just be hanging there being like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. It's like, how did you get on them? And
Get them outside, but get them stationary.
I enjoyed, like, when the kids were that young, I got like a $200 bounce house, a big one, because I was
Those are
like,
amazing.
I'll just whenever I
What were
need
they? Where were
them to
they when we
just
were kids?
pass out, I'll just inflate this bounce house in the house and let them go nuts and put on loud music, and they'll just jump around for 20, 30 minutes unsupervised because they're in a giant pillow, and then they'll be sweaty. I'll feed them, and like you said, and then they pass out.
Dude, my kids can swim. Charlie is 3 and swims just as good as Hannah. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But that pool is like 50% of it is because I don't know, Heather's amazing. But also my kids are endless balls of just white Jewish girl energy. I don't know where it comes from. The fake
From the
oppression.
source, yeah. No,
And no, but I'm like they're gonna need that thing because it's so damn hot here and I can't play outside with them all the
yeah.
time when it's 95 and 200% humidity. It was because you got to wear them out. You got to play, but don't kill yourself.
How do you guys handle sunblock in Florida? Like that?
Every 2 hours, me and Hannah, dude, it's so weird. Ready?
Yeah,
Hannah is like me, and we'll just kind of like turn reddish
yeah.
with good sunblock. Charlie tans like Heather. It's like completely different skin.
Oh,
It's neat.
But you're just like they just know the drill. Like it's just reapply. Like are they like
Hannah's
fighting
like
you on it?
no, Hannah knows. Every 2 hours, I'm like, Hannah, come on, we're pale. Charlie is like, you can just tell. It's weird. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. It's not. I don't know how to.
See, like Leo will wear
It's new to me.
sweatpants. Like Leo will wear sweatpants and like a hoodie in 80, 90-degree weather just to avoid um,
Oh, he's
sunburn.
doing it like the Indians.
Yeah, he's like, I'll just
Smart
sweat
man.
and just not get sunburn. Like I'm like, okay, if that's what you
Wow.
want to do. Like the other day he went out.
You get him
It,
like
it was like,
like a cloak.
well, we got like sun shirts for them that are like light
Yeah, those are
and
sweet.
breathe, And then
I'm
he's
wearing
got
one now.
like a bucket hat that he wears,
Oh, cool.
and so we're like, if you wear this, like at some point I'm like, why don't you just let me just spray you real quick? Like we'll be done in 2 seconds. But he's like, no, I'll just wear like this full beekeeper outfit, and and then I don't need anything, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess you
He's
don't.
like,
He's
then you
like,
don't have to spray me with that stuff that you guys are putting on your bodies. Who knows
yeah,
what it's
true.
doing?
So
Good
anyway,
for him, man. I'm impressed.
but he's very similar. Like I don't know if it's like a second child type thing, but it's also like he's very like Gattaca with Ruby. Like he is just constantly trying to like outdo her. Like even just walking down the sidewalk, he's
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean
few
that's
steps
Rye.
ahead. Yeah, it's just
Rye
constant.
always like was trying to beat me, so he was like better than his peers.
Yeah. So if you could take that as a compliment that you pushed him
Oh, I made him.
to get past you. 100%.
His
100%.
daughters should call me dad. 100%.
100%. Because it's just yeah. Because like Ruby,
Yeah,
like
it's funny. It's you have competition right away,
oh yeah, it's like
like in a different way,
just need
but like in
to
a good way. It's like I'm striving to be. It's like inspiration, actually,
right, yeah. And
motivation.
that's what I'm trying to explain to Ruby too. I'm like, it's good. Like you're setting the bar, and he's trying to pass it. And as soon as you don't have a bar for him to pass, he's like upset. So just keep pushing him.
Are you like, and eventually he's gonna just be able to throw you across the room if he wanted to.
Well, I keep warning her that like when she like hits
Like he
him,
will become stronger than you.
if she hits him, I'm like, Ruby, we're like talking like months now. You
Right.
can't. You got to
One of these
understand. Like, it's
days,
gonna be like a right
he's
hook.
just gonna laugh,
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be like. It'll be like
and then you'll be on the ground not knowing how you got there.
yeah. I think half the time now, even when he gets hit, it's just to get the reaction from me. It's just he just drops like a soccer player. Like whoa, like just like he just got hit with a steel chair.
Flops
I'm like
like
yeah,
LeBron.
yeah. Like, that they're just playing against each other, but it's all good though.
Of
I think
course.
I think
I keep letting them argue more. I used to always jump in the middle, and I'm like, oh, geez, they have to like learn. This is like
oh,
why
absolutely.
that's why they have a sibling. That's why we made Charlie, so they can like learn from each other.
It's one of my most favorite things is like when they come to me for judgment and I turn to them like some wise sage and I was like, your problem isn't with me. Your problem is with your brother.
Judgment.
Go figure it out with your brother. Like I just basically I'm not doing anything. And they look at me like, thanks for nothing.
Right. Yeah. You give them like a Yoda like line.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
that's why you fail. It's like, why?
Oh, what? That doesn't quite
Run,
make sense.
hide.
Yoda's another guy that maybe if you hang out with him too long, like it starts getting. Like if he had
Holy
if he had
shit.
more screen time, like you would just be like, none of what you're saying really.
I completely
makes sense."
forgot. I completely forgot. I did a trailer reaction to that Acolyte show, and it's the second trailer. And in the beginning, there's someone talking like Yoda, like backwards. But
Okay.
it's not the Yoda voice, but it is Yoda. But he's like way younger.
Oh.
But he looks like the Clone Wars. Like he looks like the
because
prequels.
it's like 100 years or something before or something.
It sounded like Seth Green. It sounded like Scott Evil.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I never edited it together and pasted it.
Oh,
So yeah, just try to find something and that's the thing with the routine with a kid.
yeah.
It's not only good for them, it's good for the one that's taking care of them. You know, put your mask on first before you help the other person in the
Yeah.
airplane that's crashing, which is
And
life.
and you can blame the schedule too. You're like, oh, sorry, that's the schedule. Like it stops becoming you saying like we have to leave the park. It's like, well, no,
It's
I
the
mean it's 12 o'clock. We have to go home for a snack and
for
get
like
in the
a
pool.
couple years, it's the undeniable excuse. It's
Yeah,
just an excuse like diarrhea. It's an
yeah.
excuse that no one questions.
Mm.
Kids and diarrhea.
Kids and diarrhea.
Baby schedules and diarrhea.
Well, I think diarrhea is a great place to end.
As they mostly did back in the 1800s.
There we go. Full wrap. Full wrap on this.
Episode
Can it? Can it?
episode
Bring it.
11,
No
Rise of
edits.
Ray. No edits. I made a video today that I do have to make some edits on.
Oh,
But it was basically like to all the wrestling fans, like a warning. Like, don't now anticipate everything is going to be WrestleMania 40. Because I saw
yeah.
Marvel fans do that. And I know you got this new streaming thing that's coming. Just lower your damn expectations. Bring them back to reality. It's not going to be like this. What? Why'd you go? Oh,
Because I just realized that before we started, I named it episode 11 more than one alien. Like I was naming it like after aliens. And I didn't even
weird.
know we were going to do the alien. Like I pulled those up. I did not read them because I want
No,
fresh response. I just realized that I
that's
named it aliens. That's cool.
amazing. I like
Because
it.
you said the thing of Ray, and I was like, what did I name this one? And then I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was bad.
All right. End broadcast. We'll
We'll
see
see you next
you
week.
in
We gotta go.
some amount of time.
I always say next week because it's
Because
an homage to
they
JR
don't know.
on Raw.
They don't
We'll
know.
see you next